What's up, guys? Welcome to Box to Box Football. And this is my favorite time of the year, Jack. Let's talk about Tottenham and them failing to win the trophy for the 14th year. Last time they won was 2008. I remember Wembley, Jonathan Woodgate.
Look at that smile, Jay. Look at that smile.
It's been no, Jack. Do you know what it is? Is that, of course, I'm an Arsenal fan, and of course, like, I don't like Tottenham, but they're beginning to give me a little bit of a soft spot for them. I feel sympathy for them now because I don't
think they want your sympathy.
I know. This is the worst thing to have someone. When you have someone's sympathy as a football fan from other clubs, it's bad. Yeah. And I've got to that point with them right now where it's like a little bit wants me for them to win something because Jack, it's like it's ridiculous at this moment of time. So I remember when we had a video looking at the top four, and our dark horses for the top four was Tottenham because we looked at Antonio Conte, we looked at the run that like he was doing it at Tottenham, we looked at the form, we looked at the fact that they have Kane and Son, we said these lot are dark horses, be careful of them. And I totally forgot that it was Spurs we're talking about. That was the one thing I did say at the end of the video, it is Tottenham, but it is Tottenham that we're talking about here. And then they went on this horrible run where they lost to Chelsea. Fair enough, they get battered every time they play Chelsea, but then losing to Wolves, Southampton. Obviously, when they were able to beat Man City, you're thinking, okay, maybe that they've turned a corner. They then, out of absolutely nowhere, lose to Burnley. They then beat Leeds. Okay, maybe they'll kick on now. Now they lose to Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
And it's like, where do they really go from here, Jack? Because Antonio Conte came here to change the culture of Tottenham, to help them compete at a high level. And it just looks like, forget about Tottenham competing. Will he even be here next year, Jack?
Right.
You know, like at this rate. But I don't know where where you're at with this Tottenham thing. But let's just look at the main thing, and that's Antonio Conte since he's came into Tottenham. What do you think has gone wrong for him at Tottenham so far?
I mean, I still think the optics of the situation look different to Mourinho, to Nuno, to even Pochettino to a certain extent. Obviously, Pochettino, I think, was Chelsea at their peak. Don't think Conte's got them there yet, obviously. But to me, yeah, I'm seeing it differently, I guess, than maybe other people are. I'm sure we have subscribers, people watching this video who might think, you know what, Jack, you're talking out of your rear end because I'm seeing the same thing every week. I think there's more positives to be taken from Antonio Conte's Tottenham and some of the changes that have been made than there were to Mourinho's Tottenham and to Nuno Espirito Santo's Tottenham, in my opinion. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm right, but to me, this all comes from my original kind of foundational thought, which is Daniel Levy, Fabio Paratici, whoever's involved, let Antonio Conte do whatever he wants because he will get you there if given the right, circumstances and the right support. The worry, I think, for me, James, and funnily enough, there's comparison to your Arsenal here. 3 draws over the course of a year is not good enough. You call it as crazy as you want, but if you're looking at 9 losses and 3 draws, there's no way in hell that you couldn't have made some of those losses into draws. And this, to me, is the problem with Tottenham. Because if they lose, James, they're actually losing. They're losing to teams that they should be beating. A lot of other teams, if they kind of lose or there's a bad result, it's kind of a draw at home against a team they should be beating, right? You're limiting your opponent from getting points. You yourself are getting a point. It's a loss in a way because you're not getting the maximum amount of points, but it's not too bad. If you look at Spurs' kind of form table here, it's green, red, green, red, green, red. One thing I did not expect from Antonio Conte was to have these losses that are happening. That's what's blowing my mind. I thought it would be like more draws than losses, few wins dotted in there. It's totally flip-flop kind of back and forth here. So there's no consistency that you can find in that at all. That's my biggest problem. You know, I'm looking at Man City with the same amount of draws as Tottenham here, but obviously Tottenham have lost 6 more games.
And Man City's also won 21 games.
Exactly. And well, that's what I'm saying. If the draws are the same, then those Man City have got those as wins. Spurs have got those as losses. So where do they go from here? All this kind of stuff. The thing that I'm finding really kind of funny and really interesting, James, why is there not the feel like with Carabao Cups and FA Cups that they're not busting their asses? That would concern me. Do you know what I mean? I think if you're like Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea at the moment, I think there's a certain level of like, if you get knocked out of one of those domestic cups, it's like, big deal. Don't really care about those. I'm here to win European silverware and domestic titles. With Spurs, I'm kind of like, how long did you say it was? 14
years since 2008, Jonathan Woodgate. But even then, Jack, even before that, they didn't win anything for like 21 years. So they haven't. In Tottenham's last 40 years, they probably won like two or three trophies. So,
to me, the fan base is just crying out for it, and I just don't know why. I don't. Do they think that like James? The only thing I can actually think of, seriously, I mean this wholeheartedly and seriously, the only thing I can think of is that they're bigger than those domestic cups, and that they need league titles and Champions Leagues. And I'm like, Jack, let's have a reality check here.
Maybe it's me, but since Antonio Conte's come in, I love Antonio Conte. And I'm going to tell you this right now. This might be a wild thing. No matter what happens with Tottenham, I don't think it will affect Antonio Conte's price as a manager. Teams are still going to scour the earth just to get this man because we know what he has produced.
Oh, for sure.
But you mentioned the fact of you see changes. Jack, I don't see nada. I don't see no changes at all. I just see a weak-minded team. I see the same mistakes that I've been seeing from last year. Jack, even overall the tactics. I remember the tactic we were talking about, Mourinho, and how bored it was and how like defensive it was and all sorts of stuff there. Jack, I still see the same thing under Antonio Conte. Nothing has changed. In my opinion, where Tottenham were 2-3 years ago and went, and like to be fair, where they are now with all the investment that they brought in, Jack, Tottenham are worse. You know, they are worse. You look at they brought in Dembele, and for all the tricks and flicks he has, he is not Moussa Dembele. He is not on his level. You know, I look at, for instance, Royale, who Emerson Royale, for instance, he's not up to that level. You know, I can point out on so many players, and to me, it's not a thing where like you can just. I hate when I listen to a lot of Tottenham fans. It's always they pick on one or two players there. But players like Harry Kane sometimes need to step up a bit more and take more responsibility. Players, for instance, players like Son, Lucas Moura, where he has lots of high quality and lots of good moments there, but it's not consistent enough. But then I asked myself, like, why is he on why is he on the bench? Like loads of times, why is he not a starter for Tottenham? Maybe because he's not consistent. Then you look at the whole Tottenham team, you say that it's not consistent and like they're not good enough. Harry Winks, not good enough.
No, that's true. I mean, I think
Oliver Skip, not good enough.
Thing is, though, mate, I like Kane and Son broke the record recently as combination record for the in Premier League history. So as much as you're like, they need to step up. I feel like if Kane and Son are goal and assisting one another more than any other duo in the history of the whole league, I feel like they have stepped up enough. So to me, if there's somewhere else on the pitch. But James, I'll tell you what I'm starting to get the sense of, right? To me, it sounds like we're getting to a point where something like quite drastic needs to happen.
Oh yeah.
And to me, that drastic needs to happen thing is Lloris, go. Kane, go. Like all of these guys that have been there, done it, been there, not done it, let's say, with this Spurs team, need to go. And a new culture Jack, needs to come in,
But Jack, do you feel like it's Lloris's fault and Kane's fault? Because to me, I think it's a mentality that's bedded into the club. Because don't tell me Lloris can't be successful when he's been so successful with France, winning captaining them to World Cup and winning Nations League. So he has been successful away from Tottenham. But you just look at what he's done for Tottenham, But much. And plus, he's a goalkeeper. He can only do so much.
Culture. We all know culture comes from the top down, right? Mm-hmm. Culture comes from the top down. Now, some people might think that's in the boardroom. Some people might just think that's the manager. Now, I always believe that this comes from ownership and the manager. That always informs the staff on how they're willing to behave, the players, how they're willing to behave. I cannot think of a better culture-changing manager to come in to Spurs Tottenham Hotspur Football Club than Antonio Conte. If it doesn't work with Antonio Conte, James, it's not going to work with anybody. I guarantee, James. I guarantee the next bet is going to be let's get Pochettino back. And it's
no, Jack. I think to me the next thing that's probably going to happen for Tottenham is Brendan Rodgers, and maybe that might be a slow build thing. But I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of hope. I don't have a lot of hope for that. Just putting that out there. I don't have a lot of faith for that. So for me, James, I have to look at the ownership. ENIC, as I like to put it. Just that's the only thing I can think, because at this point we are running out of options. We're running out of finger pointing. So to me, drastic things have to be sold. Yeah, Kane sold, right? Use that money elsewhere into other parts of the club. I'm running out of logical ways to assess what's happening, and then try and come to you or to anybody for that matter with a conclusion. I don't know if you feel the same way. Jack, listen, I don't know what to say. Generally,
that's what I'm saying.
Like it's something that you can analyze to what point right now, because we can't also make this thing that they don't spend money. Because Jack, they made a world record signing a few years ago when they signed Ndombele. Now it's not like Man City sort of spending. They don't spend a crazy amount, and when they should have spent, I get it, they didn't spend. And I'll always look at Daniel Levy like, you guys messed up at that moment from around 2006 to around 2016 all the way to 2019 when they didn't spend. But you look at where this Tottenham team is right now. I just think there's a lot of quick fix stuff there. There's a lot of things where we're just going to throw in a great manager, guys. Antonio Conte, Jose Mourinho, turn water into wine, and it's like with Tottenham right now, it's not going to take one season. It's not going to take 2 seasons. It's not going to take 3 seasons, Jack. It's going to take a long time. And the question is, does managers have the patience to stay that long? Antonio Conte signed a 1.5-year deal, meaning that if things don't go right in the first half season or so, I'm splitting. And I look at him right now, Jack. He looks like a broken man. Yeah. Jack, we're talking about, you said the best manager in the world. The best manager in the world, according to you, looks like a broken man. And what does that tell you? For me, that tells you that there's something going on beneath this club. Yeah?
Yeah. What I don't like as well, James, I think is like, you talk about the long-term thing there, and I think it's one of the most played out cliches ever.
It is. It is.
Everybody's in a rebuild, right? Everybody's needs, now we got to spend money. Now's the time to, Jay, I look at Spurs in particular. It's like, if it's going to be this long-term fix, and you're not planning on selling Harry Kane, right? Which is the kind of hot button issue here, right? He's gonna be kind of past it by the time that if everything goes according to plan.
Jack,
with what you're saying.
He's 29, Jack.
Yeah, I know.
He's 29.
What? So by the time he's 34, you guys are going to be ready to go? Like, it's not. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm struggling for things to kind of figure out with this club. What I will say though, James, again, games in hand don't count for anything. You actually have to do the work. But if Tottenham win their 2 games in hand, they are going to be on 48 points. That leaves them on a point above Manchester United. It's 2 points behind Chelsea, who obviously have games in hand as well. Obviously Arsenal have got their games in hand to play. So it is one of these things, again, where, like with a lot of things in football, prisoner of the moment, couple of good results, the optics of the whole situation change. But to me, from what I'm seeing, James, what are we going to have? A win and then another loss, and then a win and a win and a loss and a loss? Like, Jack, there's no difficulty to beat with Spurs. I personally don't feel like at the moment.
Jack, listen, I look at Tottenham right now and I don't see them doing nothing. You mentioned games in hand. I'm just going to bring up their next 3 games. Do also, I see James, them picking points?
Just to say very quickly, Leeds at the moment are 4-0. That's a gimme. That is an absolute gimme the way they're playing right now.
And Jack, if you watch that game, it would tell you it was not. If how Leeds did not score at least 3 or 4, I really don't know there. But you look at it from this point of view right now. They got Everton next. Do I back them to beat Everton? No. They got Manchester United after that. Away from home, Old Trafford. They could pull up something there. They like big games, but no. Brighton away.
Another club under pressure, though, James. Right? I mean, Everton and Manchester United, both clubs under pressure.
But Jack, for instance, Brighton away. I don't see them picking up nothing against Brighton away. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I look at a bunch of games right now, and you ex-Tottenham fans, are you confident of your team winning the next game? They're going to laugh at you and say no. So I don't see them doing anything at this moment in time. But Tottenham fans, we have no clue. Generally, we sat here, we talked for 10 minutes, and we just can't make out how this is possible.
I'm not even going to BS. I'm not even going to BS anymore. Like, after you throw a bunch of what at the wall, if nothing sticks, then you are just left shrugging, going, I don't know what I'm dealing with here.
But if you guys know the reason, please comment down below. Let us know. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button.
Tweet at Spurs official as well. Let them know.
Thank you. Question: does Antonio Conte go or stay? Comment down below, guys. Thanks for watching. This is Box to Box Football, and we will see you next time.